Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. Today's date is actually still 9/11, but by the time this hits the internet, it's going to be September 12, 2020. And this video is about the Zuck, Facebook right-wing echo chamber that it is, and Mark Zuckerberg's denials of this blatant fact and research that proves him wrong anyway, coupled with some updates on S4A's Facebook situation, which is, I would say, precarious at this point. But before we get into that, of course, it is, the end of 9/11 as I record this. I just added a lot of content to the channel. I did, first of all, a video last night about my personal take on 9/11, its massive significance. Of course, neoliberalism has been going on for 40 years, since about 1980 or Reagan's presidency. But I firmly believe that the George W. Bush years, about 20 years ago, 9/11 was 19 years ago, in 2001, kicked off definitely the second volume of neoliberalism, really just a whole new level of American military aggression, founding of the Department of Homeland Security, the signing of the Patriot Act. This was really unprecedented, a vast cultural chilling effect. Obsession with terrorism. I would say that was officially the start of proto-fascism. The U.S. had always been kind of right-wing, obviously. This was like a whole new level. It was, if you don't remember the pre-9/11 era, really a radical shift. People really were talking at the time in the early 2000s about how unprecedented it was, and it paved the way for Trump. When Obama got in, people thought he was going to undo some of the Bush administration's damage. He did not. And then Trump inherited that entire foreign and domestic surveillance and police apparatus. Right now, there's major protests going on in the country about police brutality and militarization. Well, that was directly a result of 9/11. First of all, you have all of the soldiers who get trained to bust heads and kill people overseas. A lot of them come back and become cops. Also, due to domestic terrorism prevention funding programs, that's how a lot of these local police departments got a tank. Okay, and it wouldn't have happened except for that whole post-9/11 war on terror push. So 9/11 is important. The government did it. You might be saying, I don't know, I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't know. Well, go watch the videos I uploaded. I uploaded Loose Change, second edition. It's from 2005. Loose Change, Final Cut from 2007. And September 11, The New Pearl Harbor from 2013. In all, you've got almost 10 hours of 9/11, high-quality 9/11 documentaries there. By the time you're done with it, there will not be a doubt in your mind, I assure you, that the official story of 9/11 is flatly impossible. And the only people who could have done it needed to be on the inside of the government, private military at best, and with close ties to the Bush administration. There literally is no other way. So they did this. They did it on purpose to take U.S. empire to a whole new level. And, I was active on that issue in the 2000s, and we did everything we could to get people not to believe that terrorism was a real thing, because it wasn't. They were trying to have people hide under their beds from the terrorist threat. We were saying, come on out. We need to oppose the war. We need to oppose U.S. empire. We need to oppose the police state, etc. So we did what we could. Then the 2008 crash happened, and everybody stopped talking about terrorism and started talking about the economy. Then Obama got in. And this is one of the ways that the bourgeois government, through its elections, gets to protect itself by changing the guard every 4 or 8 years. It can really throw people off and distract them. But we are trying to keep tabs on the threads between administrations, between decades, over time. That's why we talk about capitalism and stages of capitalism. And we talk in terms of decades and centuries, not just presidential administrations. Although the Bush administration was a significant turning point. Not every presidency is a turning point. That one was a turning point. All right. So all of that said, which is pretty much a good, concise summary of what I rambled about for, 2 hours in that video today. So The next thing that I'm going to be putting up on the channel is an audiobook, Lenin's What Is to Be Done. It's the next installment in the Basic Marxism-Leninism Curriculum playlist. If you're not caught up on that already, just click on the playlists tabs on the S4A YouTube channel, and you can listen to the previous ones. The last installment was Engels' Socialism, Utopian and Scientific. And again, the next one is Lenin's What Is to Be Done, which I feel like is a good follow-up to 9/11. I remember in the 2000s, a lot of us were not Marxists yet, but were asking, 9/11 was an inside job. What is to be done about that? And it was a real quickening in terms of trying to, people needed to hurry up and figure out their politics. I know I did. But in the meantime, it's going to take me, a little while to read that audiobook because it's kind of long. In the meantime, I'll throw a couple of things at you, including this. So S4A, I technically founded that Facebook page in July of 2019. So it's a little over a year old. It's about 14 months old. But I really didn't promote it until January, so 9 months ago. It had like 150 likes. I just wasn't aggressively promoting it at all. I was very lackadaisical about it. But with the primaries starting, I decided, hey, let's do it. And it's been a very productive year. The Facebook page is up to 5,000 likes. The YouTube is now up to almost 700 subs. We have 7 patrons. I'm making connections with other Marxist YouTubers. Things are looking up. I think that this is going to be a very good decade for Marxist social media, and movements in general. But Zuckerberg, the nipple-hating freak that he is a right-wing piece of shit. I mean, how else can we really say it? And I have been having trouble with comments of mine getting reported, which results in bans, 3-day bans, 7-day bans. I hadn't had one in a while, and then we ran afoul of a libertarian group, the American Libertarian Army. They have a page and a group on Facebook, and they decided to come in and flood a post rather, with pro Kyle Rittenhouse, the Kenosha murderer, memes that were bloody, violent, everything against Facebook's terms and community guidelines, but that were also specifically, literally, explicitly describing him as a hero. I reported, I shit you not, at least 300 of these comments, probably closer to 500. Not a single fucking one of these comments was taken down, and they were explicitly glorifying recent, contemporary, happened that day violence. Not a single one was taken down. Meanwhile, a bunch of my fairly innocuous comments got taken down. I mean, really, like, I do not generally violate the Facebook community guidelines. I feel like if I'll use, harsh language against people, but in service of a point. I'm not just belligerent for absolutely no reason. Do you beg to differ? Leave a comment. But we'll talk about it. But I tend to just ban people when things are going south rather than getting into a protracted thing about it. So, but today I literally had a comment or a meme I was posting. It was actual Nazi soldiers with photoshopped or like MS Paint tears coming down, and it was mocking them, saying it had the Victims of Communism Memorial Fund or whatever, basically say, because Victims of Communism is a very right-wing group that pretty much is Nazi apologism, yet it's accepted in the West because communism just as bad as fascism. Obviously it's not. But anyway, I posted this meme among many other posts that I was scheduling for today. If you notice that the memes stopped, I don't know if you're paying that close of attention, but the memes stopped at 3 o'clock today. I had them scheduled to go all through the weekend because Facebook was like, that goes against our community guidelines. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm making fun of actual Nazis. That was like U.S. policy at one point. What do you mean it's against your community guidelines? So I hit the little, they're like, our automated system detected something. If you feel it was a mistake, dispute it. So I disputed it. And they were like, no, we reviewed it and it's against our community standards. I'm like, I'm making fun of Nazis. What is your deal? So, well, what is their deal? Okay, we've done 10 minutes of setup. Let's get into the story. So I have 3 articles here. The first one is from Media Matters, and it's headlined, Mark Zuckerberg denies Facebook is a, quote, right-wing echo chamber, but the facts tell a different story. Facebook's pro-conservative bias has turned the platform into a cesspool of hate and lies. Yes, it has. This was written by Parker Malloy, published just the other day, September 9th, 2020. And it goes, in a new interview with Mike Allen of Axios, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg defended the social media platform from accusations of being a right-wing echo chamber, explained why the site doesn't treat anti-vaccination content the same way it treats COVID-19 misinformation, and contemplated whether history will look back on the company as an accelerant of social destruction. That's a quote, an accelerant of social destruction. But contrary to what Zuckerberg said, Facebook is a right-wing echo chamber, even if he doesn't like that characterization. So, it goes on, Zuckerberg's denial that the platform represents highly partisan stories in a right-wing media echo chamber is simply false. New York Times technology columnist Kevin Roose has been documenting Facebook's best-performing content day after day. The results tell a tough truth. Facebook is overflowing with right-wing content. Since July 2018, Media Matters has published multiple studies countering claims that conservatives were somehow being censored on Facebook, finding each time that the opposite was actually the case. In fact, Axios itself reported in September 2019 that tech companies have secret data showing that conservative pages outperform liberal ones. Now, commenting there, liberal pages fucking suck. I mean, we all know that, right? You know, you can only read so many Harry Potter memes before you just, like, your eyeballs explode out of your head. The conservative worldview is at least consistent in some ways. I mean, once you lock into it, it makes real sense. Assuming that you exclude vast portions of reality that actually contradict it. The liberal point of view, you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. It's a balancing act of you're trying to be the moderate and the adult in the room. And it's a viewpoint that I think will die out largely with the boomers. They're going to take it to the grave with them because it's just not landing with the new generation who have a different economic situation and are just tired of the fucking platitudes. So continuing with the article, it says, even worse, the social media giant has actively worked with far-right outlets to run its news and fact-checking programs. Last year, Facebook partnered with right-wing haven of misinformation Breitbart as a trusted partner for Facebook News. Pardon me one moment. Okay. Yep, Breitbart is Nazi news. That's what Breitbart is, okay? There was literally, I don't know if it's still up, but there was a section on Breitbart just titled Black Crime. It's a fucking Nazi website. And Facebook called it a trusted partner. And Facebook has continued to allow one of the Daily Caller's subsidiaries to participate in its independent fact-checking program, despite the right-wing website continuing to receive money from Trump and GOP groups. At another point in the interview, Zuckerberg claims that he believes the site's moderation policies are set and applied, quote, evenly and fairly to all users. But this is another lie. In August, BuzzFeed News reported that Facebook had repeatedly sidestepped its own policies to intervene exclusively on behalf of conservative publishers by removing fact checks from right-wing content found to be false by the company's independent fact-checking partners. The Facebook pages for far-right media figures and groups such as Breitbart, Diamond and Silk, Charlie Kirk, fuck you, Charlie Kirk. That fucking small-faced motherfucker. How did you even get the job you have, you fucking piece of shit? And PragerU all benefited from Facebook's internal help. Joel Kaplan, Facebook's vice president of global public policy and a former member of President George W. Bush's administration, was reported to have been involved in this operation. Facebook reportedly fired one employee who collected evidence of the preferential treatment, so there's a cover-up, the platform gave exclusively to conservative pages. Since 2016, Facebook... Wait, what happened in the election. Facebook has taken an increasingly conservative bent, with much of the internal activism reportedly the result of Kaplan and Katie Harbath, Facebook's public policy director for global elections and former chief digital strategist for the Republican National Committee. Nothing to see here, folks. In January, Facebook hired former Fox and Friends senior producer Jennifer Williams to head video strategy for Facebook News, joining the company's extensive staff of former figures from right-wing media and Republican politics. In February, the Washington Post published a bombshell report detailing some of their behind-the-scenes conservative advocacy at Facebook. Zuckerberg may disagree with the characterization of Facebook as a right-wing echo chamber, but that doesn't make it any less true. Conservatives are thriving on Facebook, and they're able to do this thanks to inconsistently applied policy enforcement. Yeah, comment, that's exactly what I was describing before. I somewhere on 400 comments I reported that were like, Rittenhouse will bathe in the blood of Antifa and like we will shoot all of you in the streets. Not a single one was removed. Not a single one was removed. Then I posted a meme mocking actual German from the 1940s Nazis. I was given a 3-day ban. Inconsistently applied policy enforcement, internal ideological advocacy, and general right-wing favoritism. So that's the first article. I mean, so I got to say, leave me a comment. I was kind of just getting into the social media game. I don't use Facebook personally. I only have it to run like, S4A. So I don't use it for personal stuff. I don't share like personal pictures or, look up old people from high school and like friend them. I really just use it for politics. So if there's something you'd like, like another platform you'd prefer to see me on, leave me a comment and I'll see what I can do. Because honestly, at this point, even if I want to, I don't know that, I'll be able to hang on to onto the Facebook. They might just unpublish Socialism for All. So I'm not going to comment for like a few weeks, but I don't know. It's honestly, the last thing I thought was that they were going to ban me for 3 days for posting a anti-Nazi meme, but here we are. All right, so here's the second article. This is an older article from 2019, October. The Republican political operatives who call the shots at Facebook. And where's this from? Popular Information. Facebook altered the language of its advertising policy to allow political candidates to lie in Facebook ads. The decision benefits Trump, who's spending millions on ads featuring claims that have been debunked by Facebook's third-party fact-checkers. Facebook recruited the Daily Caller, a far-right site founded by Fox News host Tucker Carlson, to become an official fact-checker for Facebook. I mean, just think about that. Fucking Tucker Carlson is checking your facts. Think about it. That blows my mind. How have we wound up here? The decision was made even though the Daily Caller has a history of inaccurate reporting targeting Democrats. I mean, again, I'm not going to lose sleep for Democrats, but if they'll do it to the Democrats, they'll definitely do it to us. No liberal publication was added to Facebook's fact-checking program. Facebook hired former Republican Senator John Kyle, KYL, to produce a report on whether Facebook is biased against conservatives. Facebook did not make any effort to study whether the platform had any bias against liberals, or I guess also socialists we could throw in there. Not that anyone cares about us. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg invited right-wing pundits to his home to discuss, quote, partnerships and, quote, free speech. Guests included Tucker Carlson, who recently said that immigrants were making America, quote, dirtier, and Brent Bozell, who said President Obama looks like a, quote, skinny ghetto crackhead. Okay. That's pretty fucking racist. Zuckerberg does not appear to have met with any liberal pundits. Why is this happening? Popular Information spoke with 3 former Facebook employees to find out. All of them pointed to the leadership in Facebook's powerful DC office. Quote, everyone in power is a Republican. One former Facebook employee based in the DC office told Popular Information the person requested anonymity because they're still employed in the tech industry. So, I mean, it goes on and on. It talks about Joel Kaplan again. Apparently, I didn't grab the article, but there was also a recent one showing that, like, the top 12 pages on Facebook were all far right. So Facebook's a piece of shit. Now, let's talk other social media quickly before I wrap this up. I did make a Twitter for S4A. I hate Twitter. I have other Twitter accounts, and I just find it a really obnoxious format. I actually like Facebook's format. I like that you can do memes easily. I like that you can do longer comments. I like the way that the comments nest. I like the like and react system. I like Facebook as a platform. I don't like their policies. I don't like what goes on behind the scenes. I don't like that shit. But just as far as the tech and the layout, I like Facebook like 1,000 times more than Twitter. I find Twitter so fucking hard to use, and the conversations are so goddamn vapid on Twitter. Everybody is just trying for a one-liner. Tweets are really just like bumper stickers. That's not really how I operate. I don't like it. And I just find it hard to use. Also, I use a VPN, and immediately Twitter locked down my account. So I gotta see if I can get it on Frozen or something. I'm not sure if I'm up for like modding a Discord server, but here's my plea to you. I don't, the YouTube channel is doing well. We've got the Patreon. I use Reddit a little bit, but tell me what you'd like to see from S4A, and I'll see if I can get it done. Thanks for listening. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg, and fuck, the whole right-wing intelligence apparatus that's behind him. Yeah, actually, before I wrap this up, let me tell you why I don't use Facebook for personal. I never did. I had an account very briefly because I had to contact a few people specifically. I couldn't look up any other way. Otherwise, I have not used it. Why? Look up InQtel, IN-Q-TEL. It is the CIA's venture capital firm. They're one of the early investors in Facebook. We get this nice story about, wow, this college kid, like Napster, like this college kid just had this great idea and the software, the website just really took off. No. The Department of Defense invested in Facebook early on. I'll see if I can dig up articles on that. That's kind of like older knowledge from the 2000s. But yeah, I never fucked with Facebook because you're literally just inviting like the CIA and NSA into your living room. Now, by this point in 2020, there's so many fucking devices. There's smart TVs, there's smart houses. I mean, they're throwing it at you in a million ways. Back when it was a choice, I absolutely opted not to do it because it was clear, I was by most, standard American, views or values, pretty paranoid about privacy. That used to be a thing once upon a time. And I didn't use social media. I still don't. But then you come to find out Facebook actually makes ghost profiles. I'm not sure if there's another term that they use for it. But basically, even if you don't have an account, Facebook puts little trackers in many, many websites. And then it makes like a ghost account based on their estimates of who is on the other end, even if you're not logged in. And studies have shown those are about 75% accurate. So Facebook is just tracking the entire fucking internet. I highly recommend getting, if you go to, there's a DuckDuckGo, which is a search engine, duckduckgo.com. They have add-ons you can install for Firefox or Chrome or whatever you use. First of all, don't use Chrome. It's fucking Google. But you can install this privacy suite that will block a lot of the trackers. There's a Facebook container that limits how much Facebook can track you, etc. I really encourage you to do all of that stuff. So, all right, now I'm actually going to sign out. Thank you for listening. Thanks to our current patrons, all 7 of you. I'm not sure which one of you I was talking to on Reddit today about 9/11 Truth, but I hope that you are making your way through the documentaries and stuff. I know it's a challenging thought, but if you like S4A, trust me on this. Know what I'm talking about. I spent years doing 9/11 Truth advocacy. If you'd like to become a patron, you can sponsor Socialism for All for as little as $2 a month. Every donation is really encouraging and helps my morale. Of course, the more actual money I get, the more time I can spend on this. So anyway, I do appreciate all those contributions. Here on YouTube, remember to click the subscribe and the notification bell. Like, share, and comment. All the commenting helps to boost the video and the algorithm, helps more people to see the content, helps to build the channel. And of course, follow us on Facebook. if you do that sort of thing. We'll catch you next time.